And the name of the talk is Key Considerations for Success when Deploying an Observability Solution at Scale. It's a very long one. But the type of stuff that I want to talk about is considerations that you should think about when you're defining a data architecture when you have massive reams of data at scale with multiple different formats. So all these considerations can be used in the operational world, but also in the business world. So why are we here? We're here because there's a massive growth of data complexity and agility. That's why we have a big data conference in London, right? And there are three key things that kind of drive this. On the one hand, you have the softwareization of the economy, where every single business is a digital business today. Every single business has software, right? You have the emergence of the cloud, where you can push applications and scale them seamlessly at the push of a button. And you have, as all organizations are software organizations, they also keep pushing people to innovate faster. They can leverage software, and you keep having the pressure to push more features faster. And this has some implications. You have increase in digital usage growth. You have the emergence of microservices as the de facto architecture for the cloud, and the emergence of file formats like JSON, which are great. They provide you a lot of flexibility as you're creating them, but create some challenges when you want to analyze them, right? And so the outcomes of this are an exponential growth in data, a fragmentation of infrastructure, and the emergence of these semi-structured and evolving schema formats that are great for generating but not analysis. So this is great for whoever is moving fast, whoever is developing fast, but it creates some challenges in production for whoever needs to manage systems in production or analyze all of this data that is being generated, right? But we've kind of like found a solution. And the solution was just centralize it all. Just put it all in one place and analyze it in one place, right? That's why that was the rise of observability, was the rise of centralization and analytics in a single platform, right? So you have all these different systems that issue different types of data, metrics, logs, traces. You can send it all to one single application and analyze it right there. But that has some issues in itself. It works at small scale. But as you scale, as your infrastructure fragmentation grows, as your usage grows, your costs also balloon. And then people from finance start bothering you, which is kind of annoying. And why is that? That is because all these applications were built primarily to be fast, so that you can detect the issues as they arise, so that you can ingest all this data and find whenever there's a problem. But fast is not friends of scale. So whenever you need to scale that, if you keep everything in the same system, your cost will also grow in the same way. And perhaps the best way to exemplify this is log analytics. All these systems issue logs that record everything that happens in the system. And so the logs grow exponentially with the exponential growth in usage and infrastructure systems. And they're also priced that way. So the more you log, the more, and you want to analyze, the more you pay. For the longer you need to retain data, the more you pay. And the more the formats in which you log are flexible, the harder it is for the solutions that ingest that logs to process them, creating toil, right? And there's some natural workarounds that exist in logs and exist all over the place, which is just log less. Just, generate less data. You got to prioritize the ones that matter to you, and you just send that into the database, right? Or you keep data for less time. Just keep it for the time that you need to analyze it, and everything else, just archive it, and then we'll figure it out. Right? But all that is harder in this context, because as log volumes grow today, not just because people are developing more features and hence logging more, but also because we have more usage, and you want that usage. And that naturally will grow the amount of data that you generate. You also, with the fragmentation of infrastructures, you just have more services. So like prioritizing logs kind of works, but if you have more systems, you'll still have an exponential growth in logs. And you need to analyze all these different services, microservices, to understand system health, right? And the same with retention. The faster you move, the more you focus on the urgent things and the less you focus on the medium importance things. And they pile up. And so once you find a problem, it may have started a long time ago with some kind of release that you did months ago. And at the same time as information systems become more important, you have regulation with a bigger eye on you, requiring you to keep data for a long time to make sure that no one had access to it that shouldn't have, right? So typically when you have a problem in costs ballooning, on the operational analytics side of the house, logs are pretty high up there because of all these things. They generate a lot of volume. They're priced by volume. And reducing it is not as easy as it used to be. So do you need a different approach? Well, kind of depends. Depends if you have the right scale. If you're at small scale, this observability approach works. You can centralize all these different data sources, use the same database for the same stuff, or mix bag of things to having the same application, and that will work. If your log coverage and retention cost is good for what you're trying to do at your scale, then you're fine. And if you don't have toil of having to deal with these like flexible data formats or moving stuff out of archival, and it fits all your use cases, and it's not a hodgepodge of tools, then you're okay. But if any of these things are a problem, if you have a problem with cost, with the amount of data that you can log or analyze, or how hard it is to shove it into a format where your analytics tools can actually perform, then you can think about a best of breed. And we're kind of built a little bit different than most solutions. So we're a database platform that was built to handle scale. We can do fast, not ultra fast. We can do fast. We can do minutes of ingest latencies, seconds of query resolution times. So it's fast, but it's not milliseconds, right? And so you can use us to complement all these solutions that are out there that have been built to monitor for the ultra fast. The way in which this works is all our customers have to do is land their data into cloud storage. Then we're going to read that data, transform it into our data representation, and store it back on the customer side. So that data at rest always stays with the customer, which is great for governance and sovereignty. And then we allow people to do some transformations, post-indexing, and we manage the compute, which is the hard part, so that it can scale with the amount of data that you can ingest and however you want to analyze it. And finally, we publish open APIs, search and SQL APIs, so you can use the tools that you're already used to and APIs that you already know. So we have visualization tools like OpenSearch dashboards embedded in our console or Superset, but you can also connect out to tools like Grafana or Looker. So at the end of the day, what we've built is something from the ground up to handle scale. So you can keep data sovereignty, but you don't have to deal with the issues of scaling an analytics platform. So you can ingest all these different formats that change that are not table-like, and because of that are hard to handle. And you can keep it forever without paying us more for it, without any toil, and with prices that are a lot cheaper than whatever else is out there, and that have discounts at scale. And with that, you can complement the other solutions that you have. So if you go into the observability world, you typically have one of those applications, or a mixed match of them, and all of them are good for detection. Keep that, alert on that, use the metrics on that, and then keep the rest of your data that is at scale and that you use primarily to troubleshoot things, to look at things over time, in something like an operational data lake like us, so you can have the best of two worlds. Save a bunch of money, which helps you in this current environment. Keep all the data that you want, and keep the tools that you want to do while being able to have observability in the existing microservices architectures. Or you can use a solution that uses the best of breed under the hood and then keeps a single UI. So Grafana allows you to connect to a bunch of different databases under the hood. You can use that. Use Prometheus and Grafana to detect, and use us for the logs, keep it all in the single UI, and then have the optionality to use our console for things that require retention at greater scale. But at the end of the day, the reason why I said that this is about more than observability is that this problem is not a logs problem, is not an SRE problem. This is a company-wide problem. This data is being generated for a reason. It's because all these people keep using more and more applications. And that data has value. And there's value across different domains, right? You can still stay in the operational side and think about cybersecurity and how hard it is for cybersecurity people today to kind of handle the amount of data that they need to be thrown at. Or customer experience. If you want to understand your business and your users, their usage of a digital product is probably the best leading indicator of how happy they are. And they all face the same problems. You still have the data, an exponential data growth. You still have an infrastructure fragmentation and the need for flexibility and retention for you to achieve these goals across different domains, In cyber, you keep having more vulnerabilities and them costing more and more. Every day you hear about millions of dollars of settlements about some kind of data breach that happened that shouldn't have happened. You have the fragmentation of the security stack because you don't have a perimeter anymore. Anyone can take a device into work and use it for work purposes. You cannot just get a firewall. Like, you need to be proactively looking for things that have vulnerability and who has access to what within your enterprise. And on top of that, your cybersecurity stack has also ballooned. Use a bunch of different tools to try to monitor all these different endpoints. And at the same time, because all this thing is fragmented, because all this thing is more important, you have more intelligent attackers that stay in your systems for a long time, start with a very low level of access, and grow over time and try to stay under the radar. So if you want to face that, you need the retention. You need to keep all that data so you can find where it started. And you have regulation that requires you to keep this data for a long, long time. And when these tools are not built for that, you're going to pay a bunch of money if you want to do that, or you're just going to throw it away. So with us, you can kind of like complement that, right? Keep your XDR solutions, your SIEMs, whatever you use for alerting on cybersecurity threats, and use that, and then use a data lake for analyzing data at scale without breaking the bank. Same with customer experience. You have more users using your digital products, that means more data. And you innovate faster, that means more experiments, that means more data. You have the fragmentation of the stack, that means more systems being touched, but also more people interested in your product usage, because this product usage, again, is a great indicator of how happy your customers are. But each of these departments within your organization has a fragmented stack. You have a MarTech stack that is fragmented, a sales stack that is fragmented. All these things are a bunch of different applications bundled together that have their little silos without a centralized source of truth for what a user has generated. And at the same time, because on the business side, you care about evolutions over time, you need to have retention so you can control for variables like seasonality, like other factors like black swan events like COVID and stuff like that, so that your analysis actually matter to predict for the future. And you need multiple data sources that you want to analyze. And again, what we do is having the ability to centralize all this telemetry, join it with a bunch of different data to complement all these different applications and proactively understand how happy your users are and how to grow your business more efficiently. And so we bridge these two worlds. We allow you to centralize all your raw machine-generated data in a seamless manner, analyze it via common APIs and visualization tools, so you can complement all your applications, from the operational side with observability and cybersecurity, to the business side with the different MarTech, sales stack, the customer success tech, product tech kind of applications that you have, and even cloud data warehouses, which are great once your data is structured, but that are hard to get started when your data is not structured in a table format. We can allow you to complement all this. So you can have the best of two worlds, a system where you can store all your data and analyze it at scale, and all these different solutions where you can enable your application workflows and analyze it at a smaller data or more structured manner. Equifax is one of our customers that does this today in the observability world. They basically use us and Grafana so that they can have metrics for monitoring in Grafana and Prometheus and as for log analytics. And they basically saved a lot of money in the process with 90% savings, fast time to value, and a bunch of other use cases that are the benefit of having this Search SQL use case where you can search for specific things in unstructured fields, but also do aggregations for business type of queries. And the value of all this stuff is that quote on like it's just there. Like it's how easy it is to analyze all this data at scale. And if you want to know more, you know where to find us is on booth 228, and we're there if you want to ask any questions or see the product itself. So that's it. If you have any questions, now is the time.